Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K Now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Anmon, your host for the next 2 hours, along with Steve.
Good morning,
Good
everybody.
morning. And Mike is here.
Yeah, I'm here.
And Spence is here.
We're here.
And good morning, everybody in the chat. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is being brought to you by Adamus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals. And the broadcast is also made possible by Telestream Wirecast software. Thank you, Telestream.
And thank you, Amnon. Sure, this
No,
broadcast is
thank
made
you.
possible by Amnon.
Oh, and I forgot to say that Nick is here, too.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Nick. Not in a boat this week.
No, I'm surprised my spot's still here.
Oh, we kept the seats warm for you.
I know. I was thinking, God, my spot's gonna be gone when I come back.
The biscuits are over there on your left, look.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Steve.
Do we have professional seat warmers like they have at the Oscars?
They're powered by USB.
That's it. Yeah, 5 volts.
You didn't get much sun, Nick.
Yeah,
Um,
my arms did. My face, no, not so much.
just so
Plus, this
everybody,
camera's not.
just so everybody knows, Nick did something unbelievable during and when Nick was on vacation. But he
Oh, yeah, I
did
go all out.
Something really, really neat on vacation. You know that he's got a podcast, and he did it from the hotel.
Yeah, I'm
Tell
actually
us,
gonna.
tell us.
You know, this is gonna be something that So we did a complete remote setup, for infection, and the way we did it is, I put my computer in sleep when I left, and I set up the Wake on LAN feature in the BIOS, so I could wake the computer up remotely over the network.
Mm-hmm.
So I set that up, and I ran the show remotely via a VPN with an Android app to switch OBS. So that's pretty much how we did the show. Was I Skyped in from New Hampshire, Brian Skyped in from Boise on 2 separate Skype lines. I had the mixer all set up, then I left that on, and then I just used a VPN, and it showed me all of the little scenes inside of Open Broadcaster. And then I just switched it like that, and I mean, Amnon, you watched the show. I really couldn't tell how the audio or video was, but
It was fine.
for what everybody was saying, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
So I pulled off a complete, almost a little over an hour remote broadcast, completely remote, which was pretty wild.
What
Yeah,
was the upload speed at the hotel, do you know?
It was like 15 by 15, which was really surprising. It's the first time I've ever stayed at a hotel in probably the last 5 years, or maybe even longer, that's had like decent internet.
Last few times I've traveled, it's been much better. It used to be either they were throttling back so you couldn't watch Netflix or for whatever reason. And the last few stays I've had, it's been up there.
Yeah, I mean, we go on vacation once a year, and that's really the only time that I, have that. And last year it was something like 0.87 up, and the year before it was like just barely 1. It's been pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I even called before and had them check, just to prepare myself. But
The
yeah, it
the
was
the
pretty good.
only thing that I said, oh, I wish Nick did, is you can do chroma key with OBS, right?
Yeah.
You can take a picture of your room and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
use
I
that
would have brought
as a background, and nobody. The what?
should have brought a green screen, as I didn't have enough crap already with me.
Well, I mean, you look. Okay, now tell us, what did you take with you?
Everything. I took 1 Windows laptop, my Chromebook, 2 tablets, a USB monitor, a microphone, a headset, a wireless mouse, a laptop cooler. I think that's about it.
Get a Mac.
Huh?
I did not bring a Mac. It was a lot of stuff, though.
Well, the thing to look at it in this way, Nick, really is the BBC had to start somewhere.
Yeah, there you go.
How many gallons was the laptop cooler?
I had a hose feeding right into it. But yeah,
No, it
I'm
was-
actually good. I mean, it was pretty unbelievable. After I sat, I don't know. I'm not one that normally is happy with my accomplishments because I'd say whatever everybody else is doing it, but I was actually like, wow, this actually worked. There's a YouTube video here if anybody wants to watch it. I did a quick little video before the show, and you can see I'm pretty much just using TeamViewer, a VPN for OBS, and Skype.
And
Yeah, that's
you
it.
used VPN for what purpose again?
OBS.
No. The VPN was for OBS.
Yeah, so the OBS has an Android app that allows you to switch your scenes over the network.
So OBS was running on your computer, and so why did you have the laptop and the tablet?
The laptop was for Skype.
Okay.
And that was
Okay.
I mean, this is an older laptop. I don't have a
That's
new-
fine. I was just
So yeah, that was just for Skype and TeamViewer. I was actually using TeamViewer to monitor the video. That's how I monitored the video. So I used TeamViewer for that, and then the VPN was running on my tablet to VPN back to my network, so that it thought it was internal, so that I could put in the IP address on my desktop at home, and it would see it as a computer. I could have port forwarded, but I didn't.
yeah. No, it
It's
was
amazing.
it was very good. Really.
It's amazing to think you can do all that complexity from your hotel room. It's just
It was
blows your mind.
it was pretty wild. I mean, I was lucky that I'm gonna say it was about 50% luck. Like, right, the internet was good. The internet wasn't cutting out. The hardest problem was if there was an audio issue, because I'd set up the mixer before I left, and if there was a problem with it, I would have been screwed. There was nothing I could have done.
Had nothing to do with luck.
No, it really didn't.
You knew
honestly
what
with
you were doing.
Yeah, no, but I had to anticipate stuff, and
Yeah.
honestly, I'm not sure.
That was one of the things that I liked so much about when I was working for telecommunications companies, working trade shows, because you had to weeks in advance plan how you were going to do your demo, and the demos were usually very complicated and had to require remote access connections back to servers and labs and all this stuff, and just the work that went into it. And if it worked okay, people who came to the booth didn't realize the complexity of what we were showing. They saw the application. They didn't see what went into getting it to work. And it was always exhausting, but a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a very, I mean, I think it's probably one of the most advanced remote broadcasts anybody has ever done. I think I'm safe to say that.
Yep. And
It was unbelievably complex.
and you did it.
And there's people that, I mean, and because I was using the ATR 2100 via USB, I mean, unless people were watching the video, they probably had no clue that I wasn't home. Because you really couldn't tell. I mean, there was one part where Skype kind of broke up a little bit, but other than that,
Mm-hmm. And you did it all by yourself, and you did it.
yeah, it was
Good.
it was good.
Good. Yep, it was good.
That's this week's YouTube takedown then.
Well, it worked
Yeah.
really good until he heard housekeeping. Housekeeping.
I had to kick everybody out. I was like, go find something to do for an hour and a
Room
half.
service.
Yeah, that's the only thing is you didn't do it 2 hours.
No, there's no way. If we rushed and we were over an hour.
Yeah, it was great.
Now we know what to do as long as I have a stable internet connection, we're good.
Well, that's what it all relies on, isn't it? It's
Pretty
when,
much.
when you make all these plans and think, oh, this will work, that'll work, the other will work, and it's the lowest common denominator, the basic internet connection that messes it up every time.
Did you see the story that came out this week? This is related to what we're talking about, and that stable internet connections. Carriers are about to start using Wi-Fi radio spectrum for broadband access. And a lot of people are not happy about it because it is going to be intruding on available bandwidth, and it will cause interference. But they've got, because it's unregulated, they can come in and do it. And they're looking now at rolling it out in big cities, so you'll have access on 2.4 gigahertz, and that's what you use for wireless N, at least the 2.4 side of it. And it's supposed to give incredible bandwidth. I mean, you're talking 30, 40, 50 meg download speeds or higher, reliable download speeds or higher in metro areas. But
I mean, this is how a lot of Google stuff will come to our house, and RST is mainly wireless. So how do they do it if it's not radio?
well, it's radio, but it's the spectrum that they're using. It's the frequencies they're using. That currently they only were using the regulated spaces that were available to carriers. And
Well,
this will be breaking into the unregulated space, which is pretty much the Wi-Fi domain, the low power Wi-Fi, but they'll be using high power Wi-Fi.
so
So
they'll
it's
be, will they be stepping on people's Wi-Fi? Will it screw up
yes,
people's
that's
Wi-Fi?
the point. It's not the same. It's not going to use the same technology to interact. It's the same frequencies, but it won't use the same coding and modulation. It'll be a little bit different
So
because it will
what result, what is the effect that you will get at home
interference.
if you are not subscribing to that, but you have your own Wi-Fi?
Interference. It's, remember, Aaron, when you had a linear amplifier
Yeah.
on
Okay,
your
that,
CB radio?
yeah, but
That's
that,
what you're talking. It's like that.
no,
You're going to
well,
have somebody turn on the linear and just step on everybody.
yeah, but that's
So,
because you're using the exact same frequency, the exact same everything, you just amplify it. This is like me standing here right now and yelling and bumping up my microphone, and I'm stepping
yep.
all over everybody. You're saying that it's not exactly the same.
No, it uses the same frequencies, but
Yeah,
it doesn't, the current standard for Wi-Fi has the chipsets have a specific type of encoding, and the way they send and transmit and receive bits is highly regulated and it's a standard.
yeah,
You can only communicate using, unless you comply with that standard, you can't understand or decode the signal.
right.
So the carriers will be using different signaling. You will not be able to hear it. You'll not be able to eavesdrop on it. You'll have to have a different chipset, a different radio receiver set up differently to get to actually use that signal, but it'll be on the same frequency. It'll be like having a digital signal and an analog signal on the same frequency. They can't talk to each other. They don't see each. They only see each other from an interference perspective.
Huh.
So, it's got some people very concerned that, and the cable companies don't want it. Of course, they want you to stay with Wi-Fi. They want to roll out their networks where they have individual. If you notice when people get broadband service now even from Time Warner, when they set up if you get the Wi-Fi from their router, they may have two networks in a house. The one that's your network, and then another one that's kind of labeled some numerical code.
Right.
And the reason they do that is because people they're building a Wi-Fi extended network by having everybody that's a subscriber have a second network that's for other people to use. So they don't want that to go away. They don't want there to be universal broadband that has higher power, that's higher capacity, that rivals what you're getting over cable. So they're not happy about it, and they're pushing back. But with the state of the FCC today, it's like a out of control,
Yeah, but I mean,
unregulated
why?
body.
Wireless is the way that it's going to go anyway. I mean, sooner or later.
No, I don't disagree with that. But I'm saying is that if you told people just like what's the frequency, Mike, about for the wireless microphones that's in dispute now?
It's 600 megahertz.
Yeah, so 600 megahertz now is going away, going to be used for something else, and everybody who's got an investment in that equipment has to buy new equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same idea. It's like everybody's using Wi-Fi in their homes. It's unregulated, it's low power, but now somebody else is going to come along and say, well, we're going to use that space too, and we don't really care what happens to you. So it's going to be interesting. I don't think they're watching out for the average user.
No. Surely you jest.
Watching out for profits.
What a shock.
Fancy bringing in something that they know is going to interfere with the frequency already in existence.
I'm sorry, say again?
I see. It's just beggars belief that they're going to bring in something using a frequency that they know is going to cause interference.
Well, because it's unregulated and they've got the okay to go high power from the FCC. I know it's going to be interesting.
Well, we'll wait and see. But as long as they give us, once they get it all ironed out, as long as they give us the equipment to receive them, it'll be nice because they can change everything without having to rely on a cable that may or may not be able to do it. There's no such thing as only so many subscribers in one area. There are a lot of benefits to that.
Well, you're still going to run into capacity issues because if everybody adopts it, it's still big shared network because you're all, whether it's over wire or over wireless, it's still Ethernet. And Ethernet is a collision-based technology. If you don't have a switch involved that can send you off on your own path, have your own individual conversation between two endpoints, like you can in a switched Ethernet environment. If you can't do that, then it's all shared.
Well, hopefully that'll be part of the equipment that they specify or that they give you, the router they give you, the modem they give you, or the modems that are being sold out there.
Well, this initially is going to be rolled out for portable devices, for mobile devices, not for the home. It's not intended for the home. It's intended for mobile devices.
Well, we'll wait and see.
Of which there are billions and billions.
Time will tell.
Yeah. Now, I was just having a conversation last night with my wife talking about how I need to find a nice little cabin somewhere that maybe has power, but that's about it. So detach from this stuff every so often. Just go away and read a paper book and.
Well, jump in that bus you've got behind you there and just drive up
that's
into the
it.
woods.
Interesting. Mike and I were talking about this. That's a friend from Alaska who's a musician who works at one of the local tourist venues in Fairbanks, who owns that, and it's a 1948 GMC Trailways bus that was converted to a camper sometime back in the late 70s or so, and he plans to use it for it's drivable. It's pretty rough, but kind of fun.
And you're going back to Alaska?
Going back to the Great Land, yeah. I'm heading back Tuesday. I leave, and I'll be there for 10 weeks.
Nice.
I was given an offer I couldn't refuse.
Well, follow the money.
Yeah, they're short on drivers and have
But-
lost a few for different issues since the start of the year, so they're needing drivers.
Going back to traffic on Ethernet on the network, maybe they should use ad block. Because Simon Fraser from the University of British Columbia in Canada claims it cut 20% of its network traffic, 40% of video traffic, by deploying AdBlock Plus across its internal network. The study tested the ability of the AdBlock Plus browser extension in reducing IP traffic when installed in a large enterprise network environment.
20%?
The what?
You said 20%?
25.
25. That's amazing.
And found that huge amounts of data transfer were saved by blocking web-based advertisements and video trailers. The experiment was carried out over a period of 6 weeks.
I'm a big fan of the
It's interesting.
Firefox extension that lets you block Flash, and you can just run Flash on an individual basis. I know there was Flash Block was the app that was out there, but now it's built into Firefox,
Mhm.
which is very nice. Yeah. So you do it it asks you, do you want to do it going forward, or you want to do it just for this particular session? I always just say for this particular session, so I have to activate it. So if I'm looking at a web page that's got a bunch of junk running in the background, of course, it doesn't block other video, just Flash video.
But the problem with doing this is things that we don't pay for these days may start costing us money, because some of these products that we use make their money from advertising.
The revenue stream
Yeah.
is not reliable anymore. Well, they'll come up with another way. That's all. Isn't that what it's all
Interesting.
about? People
Alan is
intruding on
saying
us,
that's-
and we figure out ways to get around it.
They always find ways to adapt, no matter what we do to block the ads or get around them. They always find ways and new technologies to jump in front of our faces.
Alan is saying that it's two different things. Simon Fraser University and University of British Columbia. No, this is Simon Fraser University in British Columbia. That's what the article read. Anything going in the chat?
We're talking about the rollout of Windows 10 they're backpedaling a bit on
Yeah.
it to where it's only available to the developer community at first, instead of being available to everybody.
They must be having problems.
Yeah.
Hey, Nick,
What's up?
what operating system was running? Oh, no, never mind. Did the operating system have anything to do with your ability to do what you did with the show? Were there specific features of? What was running on the laptop? What was running on the tablet? I know at home on the main computer it's Windows 8 now, right?
I don't think, I'm going to say the only nice thing about Windows 8 compared to Windows 7 by default is that taskbar is on every screen. And that's nice on Windows 8. Maybe it's not on Windows 8, it's on Windows 8.1.
But there was no specific feature that...
Windows 7 and Windows 8 or 8.1 are really not that different besides the Metro interface.
Well,
there's nothing really different. I mean, the Wake on LAN was the BIOS, and that was about it. So both computers are running Windows 8.1. So
Okay, all right.
I have an unrelated question, Amnon. When you're doing your screen capture, how do you get rid of the preview thumbnails in the bottom right corner?
That's trick that Nick showed me. If you double click on the big picture, do it.
Goes full screen.
No, so do it the other way.
it'll get smaller, and then you can just
then you capture just it. I only capture because that's a 16:9. Any size, any way that you stretching your screen, the big picture is going to stay 16:9.
No, I get it.
And
I knew there was a way to do it. I just couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah, that was a lifesaver back then. I didn't know that you can do it either. So what else happened this week that anybody wants to talk about? Steve, what's happening on your side?
Well, I bought a new box of tricks this week.
At the grocery store?
No, 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 no. Electronic box of tricks, gadgety things.
Oh,
I'll put a link in. Luckily I've just gone and got it as you asked me that. It's from Sunvision. It's called a mini PC, and it's got Windows 8 built in, or 8.1 built into it. It's got HDMI, VGA, 3 USB ports, USB 2, not 3, and wireless built in. And it's tiny. It is about the size of a book, small book, maybe twice as thick as an average paperback. And I bought it initially so that I could stream, and if you like, to a degree, make a non-smart TV a sort of smart TV, if that makes sense.
mm-hmm.
I've been playing around with it. If I've got it connected to a large monitor, which doesn't have HDMI, but it has VGA, and yeah, it seems to be quite good. It's not a particularly high-powered unit. It's got a 32 gigabyte eMMC hard drive or SSD thing in it, and it's got 2 gigabytes of RAM. Would have been nice if it had 4. Oh, and it's got a network connection as well, but wireless works extremely well. And I've been tinkering around with it this week, and I'm very impressed actually. It's quite a good little box. The thing that I looked at and I thought, hey, that's a good saving, is the power consumption. When you look at an average desktop machine, if you're using that, it can use an awful lot of electricity compared to this little box, which is going to use a minuscule amount if you compare it to the big desktop size. So in theory, it'll pay for itself over a year or a year and a half.
And how much was it?
For me, £114.
Is it the Intel one?
No, it's the Sunvision Cyclone mini PC. It's got an Atom. Atom is Intel, isn't it?
Yeah. They're
Something-
redoing their Atoms. It's not the old Atoms. They've got new ones that they're bringing out.
So it's quite a good little box. I tried to put what was XBMC on it, but I can't seem to get that working. It's not quite as good. So I'm going to try and put WinTV on it, so I can use it as a little DVR type device or PVR type device. But I've got a couple of problems which I've emailed Sunvision about. Initially, the day I bought it, it said that you can upgrade to Windows 10, depending on what's going to happen with Microsoft when Windows 10 rolls out. And the day after I bought it, it looks like there now may be a problem updating it to Windows 10 or upgrading it to Windows 10. And I thought, isn't that typical? I buy it one day when it says, yes, you can upgrade to Windows 10, and the following day, there may be a problem doing that. So I'm in communication with Sunvision at the moment. Hopefully they're working with Microsoft towards a solution that will allow us to upgrade to Windows 10, which would be nice.
This thing's pretty cool.
It's a tiny little thing. I couldn't believe it when I opened the box and thought, you're kidding me, that's, it's smaller than a DVD case. And it's about as high as 3 DVD cases tall, if you stack them one on top of the other. It's minuscule.
A version of that showed up on Best Buy today. I found it. It's in the specials. I'm trying to find the web page now. It's as you say, it's just a small, no monitor. It reminds me of the Mac Mini.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more like the that Intel NUC, the NUC that Intel makes, that bare bones little box, or that Chromebook box. That's what it looks like to me.
It is like that. Kobo is the thing I was thinking of, which is XBMC is called now. I think it's Kobo, but it's basically is a Windows 8 PC. If you only wanted a really simple, low-powered device that you could connect a keyboard and mouse into, and just surf or playback YouTube clips, playback media that perhaps you've got on an external drive. It looks like an ideal little machine. Apart from a couple of issues I've got with it on first use, I think it's going to be a very useful product to have. But I'll keep you informed as the week goes on. I should find out more from Sunvision as regards what's happening with Windows 10 and getting into the UEFI BIOS section and stuff that I'm having issues with.
I guess this is only available overseas.
No,
Oh.
it's available worldwide as far as I know. It's available from the Sunvision site. There's a link I've put there.
Yeah, they can't buy it on Amazon.
Oh, okay. They do also do one that's called the Micro PC, but I think that was a year or two ago. It's a relatively newish product. Ideal for sticking behind your TV.
Yeah, the size of it, and you know, sure, like you said, Steve, sure beats throwing like an old beat up Pentium 4 or something down there that's going to be loud and use a lot of power and all that other stuff.
Well, their example on their website, I think, said it was something like 140 euros a year to run a desktop for the same period of time, whereas this one was, I can't remember, was it 18 or 28 euros?
Yeah, it doesn't use much.
Big difference. I mean, it literally in that way, it will pay for itself, which was appealing.
Very cool.
The one that I saw was not at Best Buy. It was actually at Staples.
Okay.
And it's $179. It's advertised as a Windows 8 PC.
I think the problem they've got
by
is
HP.
with upgrading to Windows 10 is the restore partition that they've got is obviously got Windows 8 on it, and I don't think because it's an SSD type device, I think it won't be able to overwrite that. That's where they're going to have problems with the upgrade to Windows 10. As you've only got the upgrade for the first year, haven't you? After that, you've got to pay for it.
Didn't think of that.
No. Yeah, it's not until you get something that you think, oh, this looks like a good idea, and then, oh, no, hang on a second, that's not going to work in a year's time. Never mind.
So, talking about wireless and video and so forth, Google's Chromecast has gained quite a following of people looking for a cheap, simple way to stream content to their TVs. Part of the device's appeal is its ease of use and extensibility through the use of apps, but it is reliant on a steady Wi-Fi signal. If this represents a problem in your home, there is now a solution. The new Ethernet adapter for Chromecast does very much what you would expect. It adds a wired Ethernet port to Google's streaming dongle. This is great news for anyone with a flaky Wi-Fi signal or those looking to use Chromecast beyond their router's normal range. So mine is behind the TV. Can't look at it, but it does have some kind of a port on it to plug things in. Am I right? Or is it just the power that goes into it? I can't remember.
Mine's right here. I'll tell you in a second.
And it also may be that actually that wired adapter goes between the TV and the Chromecast. So it's just USB to USB. It's interesting because ours is kind of flaky. So,
It looks like it's just USB power.
yeah, so I guess you could just it'll go between it and the TV. You'll probably unplug it from the TV, plug the adapter, the wired adapter into USB, and then there'll be a pass through. It's sort of like for the but that's nice. Now I didn't look much, but I don't know how much it'll be. And I don't know if I'm sure they're not just going to give it to you. If anybody.
Are you saying that Google's not altruistic? Come on.
Yeah, I am now.
Right.
They're not there for the betterment of mankind, and they won't make it available.
Oh,
for free?
of course they are. Of course. Next.
Did you, of course, everybody who, well, not everybody is aware of, they're not making a big deal out of it too much, that security breach from the General Accounting Office
Yeah.
is much, 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 much bigger than they ever said
Mhm.
before. And the lady who ran the GMO, no, GAO, I'm sorry, resigned. Was it the general? No, it was not. Office of Personnel Management. I'm sorry, wrong department. I get my hundreds of departments mixed up in the federal government.
Do you know what was included in that security breach?
I know it was passport information, social security numbers, security clearance information. What
Top
else?
security clearance information.
Yeah, incredible. Now they can blackmail people that have top security clearance. They have a list of people to go out and try to compromise.
Do you have any idea how much information is in a government top security clearance document?
No, but I'm guessing it's bad.
I mean, it includes how many times you and your wife, never mind.
Yep. And this is they're trying to, of course, blame someone else.
Of course. We need to move to the UK where they don't have governmental problems.
They just leave their laptops in taxis and on the tube.
We do that here.
Yeah.
Only with iPhones.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
GCHQ is a lovely enterprise. They're so helpful.
Good morning. Who do we have there?
Good morning. This is Gene this morning. How are you?
Hey, Gene.
Hey, I just thought with the events of the week and talking about hacking and data exploitation and that type of thing, and the events with the Wall Street Journal and United Airlines and the stock market, that I'd like to discuss a little theory with you this morning based on my experience. I put it on chat a couple of times. I said that computer technology seems to be going through 3 stages. And the first stage goes back to my start in computer technology, which was when I got out of the service and started programming an IBM 704. Big machine, 3,000 square feet, had 16K memory and a 32 microsecond clock, and we thought that was really great. And of course, there were only about 4 of them in the country, and they didn't get, the computers weren't much in use in those days. And then we moved, of course, on the basis of the internet and being able to put a computer on people's desks. I remember before the personal computer and the internet, actually trying to get even executives in IBM to use monitors that were hardwired to a main computer to discuss things with each other and that type of thing. And it was tough getting them to do it. And so that's the first stage I call the stage of misuse. It's a new technology. People are a little frightened of it, don't understand it, and so it doesn't get much use. Stage 2, we moved to, as a result of the advent of the internet and the PC, and we moved to the stage of a lot of use, but it included misuse and abuse. And the more function we provide people, the more it seems that misuse and abuse is compounded. The third stage, I think, that we have to move through, and I don't know when this is going to happen, and maybe it's going to take a catastrophic event to make it happen, would be the stage of proper use. There'll be plenty more use and proper use. And why don't we get there, I wonder sometimes, and I think the reason is that people only want to pay for function. If you look at the innovators rather, and the people that are really providing new things in the computer world, it's mostly function. And the dichotomy is the more function we provide, the more misuse we get. And so I just thought I'd throw that out to you guys to see, what do you think it's going to take for us to get to the stage 3?
Who wants to take that?
Well, my answers would be pretty cynical. I don't know. You're dealing with people. The problem's not the technology, it's the people. And until somebody goes to jail to make things happen, I'm not so sure anything's going to happen.
Yeah, it's almost like we need a computer technology or an information technology 9/11 to wake people up.
It's going to happen. You know it's going to happen. I mean, this, like you mentioned, the stock market thing in and of itself, it wasn't a big deal. In that they rolled out the IT department rolled out a software update from the last I heard. That may have been a lie, but they rolled out a software update. It wasn't fully tested and it crashed the system. In and of itself, it happens. Life doesn't end because the IT department screwed up again. But when you look at the ripple effect it has, wait a minute, China says, hey, what are these guys doing? Are they playing games? And then Germany says, can we trust the United States? They don't even test their software. What are they trying to do? Is this a hacker? Is this terrorism? Which we don't even know whether it was terrorism. We have no idea. And the social or political ripple effects from that technology glitch can be devastating. I mean, it can start a domino effect throughout the world. And I mean, I'm not necessarily a gloom and doom subscriber, but I'm also smart enough to realize that a lot of things, including the real estate collapse in 2008, even though a lot of us predicted it starting in 2006, I don't know anyone who predicted the severity of it because we didn't know how severe the problem was that caused the bigger problem. I don't know what the answer is, Gene. I would sort of look to you for some guidance as to what you think where we're going.
Well, I just think it's going to take something that will basically turn the innovators and the people with the smarts to figure out how to do something that hasn't been done before, to start focusing on security and proper use rather than just focus on function. It seems like they're focusing on function for the reason that function is what provides the money. I mean, that's what markets function. And the more function we get, the worse the situation could be when it does happen. So something has to happen to motivate those that have the wherewithal, the brains, and the innovation and the motivation to work on how do we get the information technology safe and used properly and block all of these events that are happening now. And I just don't know. I mean, it's going to take somebody that's got the smarts, and they're going to have to be motivated. But it seems all we want to do is pay people for function.
Well, when you're dealing with the government, I'm not even sure they function. We spent $700 million on healthcare.gov, and 2 guys in their apartment in Maryland are the ones who fixed it.
Yeah. Very true.
I think that we're headed for a giant reset, and that's not only from a technology perspective, but from an expectation and functionality perspective. It's just like Gene is saying, the functionality is what people are looking for, but maybe we just need just a big EMP pulse up in orbit.
But they're not willing to demand it.
What?
They're not willing to demand it.
Oh, I know, but I think we'll get to the point where people's lives are ruined by this to the point where there's such outrage.
Then it's too late.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
It's getting to the point where few people trust anybody nowadays, apart from the people that are close to them. And when you're trusting governments, organizations, and everything else with your data, with your life, basically, and they're just so haphazard with it, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? I mean, the whole world revolves around trust. Everybody has to trust the companies, the businesses, the people they deal with. And if that is diminished and gets less and less, what have you got?
Well, I went over to Amnon's house this week, and I hate to tell you, but when I left, I double-checked all the tools in the back of my car.
I don't believe you.
I did go. Not that I don't trust him.
Yeah.
No, I don't know the answer, Gene. You know what? I mean, I guess it's a sexist comment, but I guess let's just say the head of the household in most families has a responsibility to try to anticipate the problems and prepare for them. I mean, the Boy Scouts back when they were a good organization would say, be prepared, and would teach these sorts of things. And now if you try to be prepared, you're a kook, because you have to suffer the ostracism from those who choose not to be prepared or who have their heads in the sand thinking that everything will just go on forever and nothing will ever go wrong. So you just kind of have to withdraw from some of that and do what you think is right and best for your family.
To that point,
Yeah, I think you hit on the key word, Mike, when you said responsibility. Let's just think about that a second. Who owns the internet? Who is responsible?
Now, whoa. Now, that's an interesting question because you've asked two questions that have two different answers. It doesn't matter who owns the internet. The government is controlling it.
and the administrative control was just switched over to an international body. It's no longer done by the United States. It was handed over to the United Nations.
Maybe, maybe not, because I will assure you that the president still has a kill switch.
Oh no, I don't doubt that. But he's got it under the auspices of the United Nations now. So, which is, I think, a worse thing.
Donald Trump will solve that.
Oh yeah. But to go back to the comments before about head of the household taking responsibility, is like no one's training people who are becoming responsible on what those priorities should be. The
Like
safety
what?
Safety of your family, putting food on the table, having a safe place to sleep, clothing. These are things that people take for granted now, when they really get twisted up about, I can't watch this video. That's what they get upset. Or chicken McNuggets are not available, so they call 911.
Or the Kardashians is a rerun.
Yeah, it's people should be more concerned about, am I putting my kid in a safe environment? Are they being taught the things that are going to help them in life?
Yeah.
And
Nah, the government is going to take care of that.
But Nick's 18. He's sitting here probably saying, "Oh, you old guys, get over it. That's so yesterday."
Oh yes,
I
that's
think-
exactly what I'm saying. You read my mind.
I think Nick has a lot up on a lot of people his age, and he's got a maturity that many of them don't have and won't ever
Thank
have.
He's being. I'm not going to tell too much, Nick, but I mean, Nick has been very responsible with his finances and probably is in a better position than 75% of the rest of the United States population today.
That's a fact.
My father and I
just-
were talking about stuff earlier this week, and he said something about common sense. And my comment to that was, common sense, unfortunately, isn't very common anymore.
But when you try to use common sense, people who don't have it are the ones who circle around you like a pack of dogs and attack you because it's different from their lifestyle.
Exactly, like you said earlier, we become the kooks.
We,
Well,
It's
you
interesting.
know, you circle around
Yeah,
the people
we.
that have common sense. We.
okay.
Yeah,
Just checking.
we're somehow out of the mainstream when the percentage of population that are driving these so-called issues are, less than 5%. But I had a conversation with a friend from New York who tends to be very New Yorkish, and and not not necessarily a bad way, but just has a different view on the world. I mean, I left New York 25 years ago, and so I have a different view. But after getting into what could have been a heated argument about certain things, actually did find common ground on things that were related to common sense. Although they come from a different perspective, we still could reach 2 or 3 different points that we both thought were, hey, these are things that need to happen, that make sense, personal responsibility, just being prepared, things like that, holding people accountable for what they do and not making excuses, and just those things. I think most people can agree on that. But
Accountability is definitely a big problem these days. There's too many things that happen that people get away with, and there's no repercussions, there's no accountability at all, which is scandalous.
Steve, in the UK, is there a movement for where there's a permanent victim class, that people who are in that victim class just kind of fall back on, well, I did that, or I did this crime, or omitted an omission of doing something I was supposed to do because I'm a victim, because I couldn't do it because of my circumstances. Is that a big
Yeah.
thing?
That is happening here. Yeah. I think nowadays it's people seem to have this attitude of because I'm entitled.
Yeah.
You know, I'm entitled to that. Everybody should have that, and you know, the world doesn't work like that. Not everybody is entitled to the same things, but this feeling of entitlement that a lot of people seem to have now is just insane in many circumstances.
Hey, Gene, you still here?
Yeah, I am, and it's been very interesting. I didn't think we were going to come up with an answer, believe me, but boy, it sure would be nice if, and I guess it's going to take a major event to make it happen, if somebody would step up and say, you know, I am the guy that's going to be responsible to make sure this stuff is protected and it's going to work, and we're going to use it properly and that type of thing, and it's my responsibility. I don't see that happening, no matter what the UN or anybody else does. Unfortunately, I do think it will take something catastrophic to get everybody to wake up and decide maybe there's something we ought to do about it instead of just keep adding function and stop paying some people to add security and those things that are needed to protect the use. But so thanks for listening to me this morning. I'll get off now and leave you be, but I think it's a very interesting conversation. Thank you.
Okay, man.
All right.
Has anybody been following what's happening in Tunisia?
I did, yeah. Computer-wise?
I'm just in general, just from a society perspective. Just a quick note on
It's
that.
too much going on.
Watch what's happening there from the perspective of safety and preparedness and all that, because they became a pseudo-democratic government a few years ago, and now are trying to fight
Yeah, well,
terrorism.
that happens. It's not unique to them.
Oh, no, it's not. But what I'm saying is
Yeah.
watch what's happening there and watch the things that their leaders are telling the people about their freedoms. How, oh, well, you know, we have to sacrifice some of our freedoms for safety. And the discussion that's going on there is kind of a microcosm of what happens from time to time here, because we basically wait for a major event to happen that gets us kicking into gear to discuss this stuff. And over there, they've had the major events. They've had just some horrible, horrible attacks.
Yep.
That are disrupting the country, and just to see how people react. I mean, they're new to this type of environment, so.
So to make 180 here, Lenovo announced their Lavie Z and Lavie Z 360 Ultrabooks. And at 1.87 and 2.04 pounds, respectively, they're almost ridiculously light.
That's soaking wet?
Yeah, probably. With Core i7 mobile processors and fast SSD on board, these machines perform impressively well in the benchmarks and real-world usage. If you actually pick one up, though, both models are so light they feel almost empty, like there's nothing inside. Lenovo achieved this in part by utilizing a magnesium lithium composite material for the casing of the machine. Though they are incredibly light, the feeling is almost too light, such that they tend to feel a little cheap or flimsy. With a tablet, you come to expect a super thin and light experience, and when holding them in one hand, the lightweight is an advantage. 2 pounds. I
Do
mean,
they add a little weight to it, just like a chunk of steel in there,
Yeah.
just to make it feel better?
yeah, you could put a brick in there, right?
Yeah. What was the model number again?
Lavie Z, Lavie Z, and Lavie Z 360. Two models, and a
I've got
big
something here.
big
I'm sorry,
difference
go ahead.
between them. 187 and 204. Yeah, Nick. Sorry.
No, finish up.
No, I'm done. That's it.
Oh, you're done? Okay. So went over to a neighbor's house last night. They had bought in this cheap projector on Amazon, like one
Yeah.
of these $100 projectors. And we were watching a movie on it, and the picture on this thing was unbelievable. This projector is $100 on Amazon. It's got USB built into it, and so you can just throw a flash drive in it and navigate through the menus and watch your videos off of it. And this thing is just unbelievable. So if you're looking for
What? How
How
was?
many lumens does it have?
800 lumens,
800?
Yep.
For $100?
$101.88 on Amazon. I was expecting, they said, hey, it was $100. I was expecting, $100
Worth a picture.
worth of picture. The thing was unbelievable. Now the one problem with it, is if you're gonna use the USB playback, the speaker output is very, very low. So we ended up having to hook up a computer to it so we could actually hear it because we were watching stuff outside. But other than that, this thing is unbelievable for $100.
I remember buying a 250 lumen projector for business that cost $4,500.
No. Yep.
It was unbelievable. The picture on this thing was massive. It was just
And up to what?
crazy good.
Up to what resolution? Would it-
full 1080p.
Wow.
It says the original price was 350, which sounds a bit more like it for the specs it's got.
I've never seen. Yeah, I looked at this projector a while ago, and the price. Amazon always does this with their prices, but it'll do 16:9 and 4:3 video. There's a picture mode, so if you're watching older stuff, you can do that as well. So you don't have. So the picture's not smaller.
Can't go wrong for $100.
No, you cannot. Comes with a remote and an AV jack, so you can hook, and it's got an HDMI port as well, and an SD card slot, and you can also hook up composite if you'd like.
So what is the problem if you use?
The internal speaker output is terrible, terrible volume. It's just really low, even with the volume maxed at 100. You can almost barely hear it when it's hooked up to a speaker.
Mm-hmm.
I would think just that it's just you cannot get that kind of sound out of a small device.
Yeah, and that's
It's
what
just
we were
power.
thinking.
Yeah.
So we hooked up a laptop via HDMI and did it that way, and just hooked it up to some computer speakers I brought over.
Yep.
But
Wow.
Yeah, I ordered one. You can't beat the price. And it looked great, and it was outside. We were watching it, and it looked unbelievable.
Yeah, they had to have come down. Even all those sports bars.
I didn't know they can't. Well, the sports bars aren't buying stuff like this, but still,
I mean, there's no reason why they shouldn't buy. I mean, they need to buy cheap stuff. But the thing is, where you go and you see a whole wall, that's what they're using. They're using.
they're using
projectors.
cheaper. They're not using this stuff.
No, right. But
the
they,
build quality, the build quality is not great. There's no mounting. There's no mounting under it. But for, watching something outside, and they just threw a big sheet up over their fence, and we watched it on that. It was pretty unbelievable.
you go and you hang a sheet outside on the house, and
That's
you
what we
put
did.
chairs, and there's your driving.
Yeah, there was probably 15 people there. It was pretty good.
LED in this has 20,000 hours of life.
Mm-hmm.
And the projector that I was talking about earlier has about 600 hours of life. with
this
a
thing is
very
totally
expensive bulb.
This thing's totally disposable. I mean, that's the best part.
And
Yeah, so it's $109, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
and Spence, how much was the light bulb?
Oh, the bulb was over $100 just for the bulb. Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, and this one is probably the same thing. This is just 100% replaceable.
yeah. It was a xenon bulb was like $300.
The bulb dies, you just throw it out and buy a new one. I mean, the power supply is built in, so it's you don't have to lug around a brick with it as also, and it's got a tilt, so you can tilt the video up or down, and then of course your focus ring. There's no zoom though, so you have to manually move it to.
It's got a built-in keystoning?
Yeah.
Wow.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
it's pretty amazing. I just saw Best Buy today had a portable tabletop screen for presenting for people on the in business on the go that sets up on a conference table. So you could use this little device and that little screen. to have your moving presentation.
Mm.
But it's pretty. I mean, it does pretty much everything for $100. You can't really beat it.
Very nice. You can have a theater at home.
Mm-hmm.
Cheap.
Very cheap.
Yep.
You just download some movies and then you're good.
Yep. Nah, I don't need to buy one.
Why? Just throw one.
Nah.
Project stuff behind you during the show.
Nah. Project it right at the camera.
Yeah,
that would
perfect.
be nice. Spence, you want to do the specials?
Sure. Is it up there yet?
10 o'clock? Yeah.
Let me make sure that I can get to it. without any
Yep.
problem
Let me
here.
put the link. Or Nick, are you doing it?
I got it. Don't worry.
I'm checking.
It's there for me. Nope. Looks like he checked too much.
While he's looking for that, there is an interesting comment here in Forbes magazine about the next frontier for hackers,
Mhm.
voice recognition software.
Ah.
They're going to be able or can interact with your iPhone and other voice recognition. His warning presages a future where voice hackers use recorded or synthesized speech commands to bypass security mechanisms. But this scary reality is not as far away as it might seem, as security researchers have already managed to trick Siri into letting them bypass the lock screen on an iPhone and post Facebook messages, access call history, send text messages, and fire off email. Quote, microphones should be disabled immediately, and our current recommendation is that the user switch off features involving voice commands, he said in a phone interview with Forbes. At the moment, leaving biometric technology as it is today is like leaving a computer without a password and just allowing anyone to walk by, click, and take an action. Well, all they got to do, the government's just like Apple. All they do is when they find a security vulnerability, they immediately roll out an update, but they never admit the problem. Then the people won't have to worry about it. If you don't know about it, it doesn't exist, right? I'll post this article for anyone who wants to see it.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, I don't know what happened to Spence.
I think you tried looking for the thing.
Yep. It dropped out. He'll be
Alan
back.
says, do you remember the episode of Mission Impossible where the bad guy recorded the sonic combination to the vault? I would never have remembered it was Mission Impossible, but it seems like I do remember something like that. I mean, I'm unfortunately at the age where you could tell me that and I'll remember it. It may never have happened, but yeah, I remember it.
I wonder how accurate is it to recognize your voice? If you took a voice altering device and used it when you talk to your phone, will somebody be able to just mimic your voice? And
Your voice print is as unique as your fingerprint.
Okay.
The question is, what is the available technology to be able to discern that voice print?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can hear people, and my wife's even better at it than I am, but we'll be watching a TV show and someone that I've never seen before, or a movie, someone I've never seen before. And it turns out it's someone that's an actor or actress we haven't seen for 30 years, but their voice print's pretty much identical. They don't look at all like themselves, but you can tell from the voice exactly who they are.
Well,
He
I don't
thinks
know.
that Spencer has had a crash.
I would assume so. So I think after all of my going back and forth, I think I'm gonna end up getting a MacBook. for
You are?
school. I think so.
Get a Mac.
Yeah. I don't know. It depends on the day, I guess. Like I just keep going back and forth.
Oh, so you're still going back and forth.
Yeah.
Be sure to save up your money to get a spare charger in case you yours wears out or you lose it.
You mean when it does wear out, not when if it
Right.
does?
$69.
I'll buy one off Amazon.
I don't know about that.
Whatever.
Those crappy ones from China, other than the Apple ones from China, the crappier ones from China, I wouldn't trust them. I've had I'm it's not even an Apple issue per se. I've had that problem with Lenovo's and HP's, and my wife goes through them like popcorn. And I tried buying some of the cheap ones, and I mean they just don't last. And the reason it's clear why they don't. These are sweatshops over there that make these things as absolutely cheaply as possible. They do not use properly rated components. They violate design rules. I mean, you can even pick up the cheapie versus the standard one, and weight wise, they're typically different. Sometimes you might get lucky and get one that's not branded, that was made in the same place the name brand was made, but you really don't have any way of knowing that.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, Amnon, how are you?
Reddit.
Yeah,
Do you know what I'm gonna?
I think I do. Is this about the CEO?
Yeah. So go ahead, tell us.
Yeah, so
Because
the
you're-
Reddit CEO, the interim Reddit CEO, after the other CEO was, I think the other CEO left. This lady came in, and she almost drove the website completely to the ground. She fired the community manager. If you're not familiar with Reddit, the big thing on Reddit is the Ask Me Anything, where they have like celebrities and politicians and public figures do these Ask Me Anythings where people on Reddit ask them questions. And then there was the girl that was in charge of that at Reddit, did all the contacts between these celebrities and Reddit.
Mhm.
The CEO fired her for no reason, closed that subreddit down. The whole thing with Reddit is it's completely uncensored. So you can find the worst of stuff on there and you can find the best of stuff on there. And this new CEO was starting to censor subreddits, which the subreddits are subgroups. And the whole point of Reddit is it's anything and everything on the internet. So the backlash was unbelievable. There was a petition signed with I think 300,000 signatures to get her fired, and I think it was I don't know, Friday that the guy that started Reddit came back as the CEO, and they fired this other lady after she almost drove the site into the ground.
That's sexist.
Yeah, well, she was terrible.
That's irrelevant. They need diversity.
So is Reddit back to?
I'm not sure yet. It just happened, and it happened on a Friday, so we'll see Monday and stuff what goes on. Hopefully, they hire this one girl back that did all the Ask Me Anythings, because that was like the biggest thing on Reddit.
Well, I will tell you what I have done this week. I was on vacation this week, and I've spent over half of it online trying to solve problems. But one of the things that I've tried to do is this network, this internet network that I've been building for some people. One of the things that I've wanted to do is to have software that let me just use this show as an example. Let's assume it's an audio only podcast. What I would do is, after this show, which is 2 hours long, we would record it audio, and as soon as we're done with the show, then we start looping it until the next week over and over again. So it's anytime you want to tune into the channel, it's sitting there playing the most recent show. That's what this network does with its prime show on at 3 to 5 weekdays, and then it loops until the next day. We're currently using Mixlr to do that because Mixlr has a playlist controller built into its interface, which does a good job and works very well most of the time. The problem is that Mixlr is not as user-friendly as some other services, such as the one we've selected, and I hope it turns out to be the case, called Secure Net Systems, which many radio stations use.
Mixlr is an audio podcast platform.
mixlr.com,
Yeah.
mixlr.com. It is the best deal going for audio only bandwidth. You can stream 24/7 for $20 a month, which and unlimited listeners, no games, no nonsense. It's fabulous. But so for getting started, and it worked well. I mean, we've gotten well more than our money's worth out of it, but we need to go even further. For example, to get in on TuneIn, you have to have an IceCast stream, or at least a stream that they can read. They can't read a Mixler stream because you have to go log into the website to get it. You can't just do it through RSTMP or whatever that crap is that you guys understand. Long story short is that I found automation software. I've been looking at several. First one that was recommended was Sam Broadcaster, which is a very powerful program. It does a lot, but it sure is quirky. These programs are written for DJs. They want to be rock stars, so they're going to buy these programs where they want to program their music. They want to scratch records. They want to make sure that no two songs are played back to back that are by the same artist, that the same song is not repeated more than once every 14 days. All these rules and things that are essential for music channels, but they're totally useless for talk only channels. I've spent a lot of time going through it. Now, one thing about Sam Broadcaster is it has extremely good encoders. You can have multiple streams coming out of Sam Broadcaster. It's easy to set up. It works extremely well. The problem is trying to understand how to make things work. Sam Broadcaster requires that you use PAL, what are called PAL, P-A-L, PAL scripts to do things that you should be able to just click and go. That caused me to look around. Long story short, I ended up finding a program that I really like called Zara, Z-A-R-A, or Zara Studio at zarastudio.es. It's in Spain. And upon finding that program, there are good things, there are bad things. Good things are that there's a free version. That free version does 98% of what I want it to do. The problem is the other 2% is a deal breaker. And that is that the software has what's called a satellite inputs. All this means is that it's sitting there doing its thing, playing this file over and over again. Or you can program other files. You could program Computer 2K Now audio to play over the weekend, whatever you want. You can make it do whatever you want. Very user friendly, works well, and it's free. But at 3 o'clock each day, it needs to bring in a live audio input, which they claim works through their satellite function. And that's as deep as I'm going into that. So I spent hours and hours and hours working on it. And it turns out that this software was released in 2009 or 2010. And the satellite audio input function does not work on Windows 7. I tried it on an XP machine, and there were so many other glitches that I canned it. And so I finally, about 11 o'clock last night, said, okay, I've tried. That's it. I've got people all over the United States trying to help me figure it out. And they say, oh, yeah, it works. I just tried it. It worked. And then he comes back and says, well, no, I didn't feed any audio through it. I just saw it switch to it. Well, I've been doing the same thing. I saw it switch to it too, but switching to it with no audio is useless. And about midnight last night, I've been thinking about it. And then about midnight last night, I started thinking about something, and I actually found a way to make it work using the free version. I use a software for recording audio called Total Recorder. I've mentioned it here many times before. And I said, now let me think about this just a second. The way the audio encoder for Secure Net works is it uses what do you call it, Nick? It's the Winds Sound.
What?
Windows.
The Windows Sound Mixer?
Wasapi Windows Audio Session. That's it. Windows Audio Session API, Wasapi. And I didn't know until yesterday or for sure until what Wasapi is. And this is a little distraction that might be of interest to anyone who's doing audio. But the Wasapi, or however they pronounce it, is actually where the program interfaces with the the computer sound card instead of it grabs the audio that's going through the computer, much like the old stereo mix, instead of it having to look for the audio input. So let me try that again. What I'm saying here is what this Wasapi does is if you want to, let me skip to this. Audacity includes, much to my surprise, a Wasapi driver in it. If you open Audacity and go to the audio input selector, one of the selections is Wasapi, W-A-S-A-P-I. The way it normally works in Audacity and any other program is if you want to record audio, you select your audio input, you turn on your audio source, and then you record the audio. That's the way it normally works. That's what we expect. But with this Wasapi thing, you can actually you can start Audacity, start the Wasapi driver, and go to a, say, YouTube video, play the YouTube video, and record it directly into Audacity without going through your sound card per se. That's a wonderful thing. So what I'm getting to is, I said, well, let me think about this just a second. If Total Recorder will actually monitor its input while you're recording, then that feeds it direct through the computer bus so that it can get to the sound card output. And this Wasapi grabs it before it gets to the sound card output. So what I figured out is that, in fact, it does do that. So now what I do is I set the automation software to stop from 3 to 5 each day, program Total Recorder to record from 3 to 5 each day, but to monitor its output monitor its input while it's recording. And I've now completely automated the entire process of going live using the free software process. And what I'm getting to, the takeaway on this is what's so bizarre about it is once I figured out how to do it, everything was already installed. They already used Total Recorder to record. All that has to be done to make it work is to go into Total Recorder and click 2 check blocks. And I've got about 8 hours tied up in that.
That's how you learn.
I know, but that's more than I wanted to learn.
Was it really hot though?
Was it hot?
The
It was hot
Wasapi?
around here. It was hot.
Never
here.
mind.
I know. Spencer's just recovering from an error here.
Yeah, he came in and he dropped again.
He's recovering from another error. But the finishing point about this Zara Studios, they have a paid version. It's pretty cheap. It's $200. They have a paid version, but there are 2 disadvantages. The first disadvantage is based on the experience I've had with this antiquated version, free version. I'm scared of the paid version. The company, the guy, it's probably not a company. It's probably just one guy. He actually responded to an email, but it took him a week. And so I'm scared of it. And number 2, it uses a dongle, and I'm just not a fan of dongles. What if they fail?
And what do you get for the paid that you don't have?
If you go to zarastudio.es, there's a chart that shows a lot of difference.
Okay, what would you need? What could you have done with the paid one that you cannot do with the free one?
Well, this is actually very interesting. There are a lot of things, a lot of capabilities that I would not have used yesterday with the paid version, except this audio input, which he claims is now fixed. He admits it's broken. But it also has, what's interesting is the software also has what are called contact closures, meaning that as I sit here and as I broadcast to over the internet, that I could have it programmed so that I could press a button on the keyboard and it closes a relay contact at your house, like to start a start a different computer or to turn on a light or whatever.
Just like an IP switch.
Right, exactly. Which is pretty powerful for people who are dead into this stuff. You can do the same thing with the program that I played with called Audio Compass, in that if you were, let's say that we were theoretically, Amnon, let's think back to whenever you were on terrestrial radio. Let's suppose that you wanted to do that again. How would you get the show over to the station for terrestrial radio?
ISDN.
Well, you can't get it anymore. Can't get it anymore. And if you could, it would be so expensive.
Right.
You'd rather drive over to the studio.
Yeah.
And the answer to the question is you could get, and the reason it's tricky is because, for example, whenever you send audio to a radio station automation system, you have to be able to do things like start the news break, start the spot cluster,
Right.
that sort of thing that typically requires 4 contact closures. And with Audio Compass, it's and a little module, you could do that. You could have it set up so that you called into the station on a computer, auto answer. It automatically is interfaced with the automation system. When you're ready to go on the air, you hit on air and boom, you're on the air.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like less than 500 milliseconds latency between you and the station, which is wonderful. This SecureNet system's latency is about 15 seconds, which is really not a problem normally. But when you're doing a talk format and interacting with a chat room, it can be a problem.
All right. So are you done with Freedom Network?
No, I haven't been back down there in 2 weeks. I'm probably going to go down there today sometime. I've got to mount some brackets and.
But it's running.
Oh, it's been running.
So why? What's missing? What's not?
They're not using SecureNet yet. They're still on Mixler.
Oh, okay.
And the streaming computer is an XP computer that I put down there, and we've since gotten a Windows 7 computer, more powerful Windows 7 computer to use for it. We've already had it set up, but it has not been installed. So I'll need to install that. And there's always cleanup you need to do. And I need to build some things like on-air lights, telephone ringer lights, those sorts of things. But I've
Okay.
been a little distracted.
All right. Well, while we're waiting for Spence to come back, Steve, do you have anything?
No, I've not anything other than my little box of tricks that I mentioned earlier.
Okay. All right.
It's been quite a quiet week.
Well, for you drive hungry, Samsung has released what it is calling the world's first 2.5-inch consumer grade multi-terabyte SSD. And it's issuing the new drive a 10-year warranty. With up to 2 terabyte of capacity, the new 850 Pro and 850 EVO SSDs double the maximum capacity of their predecessors. As with the previous 840 Pro and layers of NAND atop one another in a microscopic skyscraper, additionally, the drives take advantage of multi-level cell, MLC, and triple-level cell, TLC, 2 and 3 bit per cell. Don't ask me. Technology for even greater density. The 850 Pro, Samsung said, can manage up to 550 megabytes, not megabits, per second sequential read and 520 sequential writes rate, and up to 100,000 random IOs per second. The 850 EVO SSD has slightly lower performance with 540 and 520 sequential read-write, and up to 90,000 random. The SSD will range in capacity from 120 gigabytes to 2 terabytes, and in price from $99 to $999. So I'm guessing the 2 terabytes is $1,000 right now, which will probably change as time goes on. But 2 terabytes SSD.
Right,
That-
but
that-
you say it has a 10-year warranty. That means when you lose everything you own, they'll give you a new drive.
I say that in itself is impressive, but a 10-year warranty is outstanding in comparison to other manufacturers.
Well, yes, but keep in mind that RAM memory for your computer, most of it has a lifetime warranty.
Yeah, but when you're talking about hard drives, you're normally looking at 3 years, or for some of the upper class drives, 5 years.
I understand for mechanical drives,
Yeah.
but there's no reason an SSD should not last forever. They don't, but there's no reason it shouldn't.
True.
Spence, what happened?
I wish I knew, because
So-
I
It crashed twice?
I wound up rebooting, but as soon as I opened the PDF file, I downloaded it. I couldn't get to it without I couldn't reset. I went to reset the cache. So I said, no, let me just download what I had. Long story, but as soon as I opened the PDF file, boom, dropped the call. Just
Oh,
couldn't
so
get it to
you-
come back.
But you only rebooted once.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I tried to join it, and I sat there, nothing happened. Yeah, so something was really wrong,
Okay.
but I'm back.
And it's open and you're ready?
I'm ready. I
Okay.
can do it. Thank you very much. That's it for today. Oh, sorry. I was jumping ahead. Office Depot, Office Max, Computers 2K Now weekly specials for July 12th, 2015. And we've got a Dell Inspiron 15.6 inch Core i3 laptop. This is on clearance, $349.99. Save $200. It is a touch screen. Got HP Pavilion X360 2-in-1 laptop, touchscreen with AMD quad-core A8 processor for $449.99. Save $140. Western Digital My Passport Ultra backup portable hard drive, USB 3.0. Now these are the best prices for this product, and I expect that because of this, that the price is coming down. They're probably going to introduce a new line, refresh the line. But the $59.99 for the 1 terabyte, save $30. $89.99 for the 2 terabyte portable, save $50. Good prices.
Hmm.
I mean, always check to see that you can't do better online, maybe get free shipping or something like that. But for a retail environment, good prices. HP Pavilion 27-inch LED monitor for $199.99, save $80. 27-inch, nice-looking monitor here from HP. Dell Inspiron desktop with Core i5. This is a sorry, wait a minute. I'm just getting mixed up here because I'm looking at overlapping graphics here that I didn't see before. Save $130 for this desktop. This is desktop only, $449.99. Galaxy Tab 4. This is a 10.1-inch machine, 16 gig of memory for $279.99 with a $30 gift card. Brother 2360 DW wireless monochrome laser printer for $109.99, save $40. HP Envy 5660 inkjet printer for $99.99, save $50. This is useful to some people, although I would say it's limited. HP OfficeJet mobile printer. This is one that's got a lithium-ion battery in it. So if you have a need for mobile printing, $199.99, save $80. Logitech Pro webcam C920 for $79.99, save $20. And Amnon, are you still a fan of Malwarebytes?
Of course.
Yeah. So if you want the version of it, the pay version that gives you real-time monitoring, you can get that for $22.99. Save $7. And are you still a fan of System Mechanic?
No.
No. All right, then forget what I'm going to say.
No, I mean, some people can use it. It's
Yeah,
fine.
some people can use it. It does do some useful things, reconfiguring machine. If you've got a machine that you have a lot of debris on, you want to get rid of. But $29.99 for System Mechanic, save $10.
These are yearly prices, by the way.
Oh, they are.
Yes,
Oh,
it's not
they're
a one.
subscription
It's not a
prices.
one-time thing.
Okay. So you just have to get a calendar that has 1,000 days in a year, and you'll be all set. We've got sale prices on Lexar USB 2.0 drives, just cheap prices. 8 gig for $3.99. 16 gig for $5.99. 32 gig for $11.99. Good prices. Logitech MK360 wireless keyboard and mouse combo for $29.99, save 10. And finally, Logitech Z313 three-piece speaker system. That's got two speakers, a left and a right, a subwoofer, and a small control, wired control. $39.99, save 10. All of that is at Office Depot, Office Max.
I read somewhere that Logitech is changing their name to Logi.
No, they're changing their logo. They're updating the logo.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And it looks quite nice, actually. The old logo was quite old-fashioned. The new one does look very hip.
Oh. Well, that's what it's all about. Being hip. Doesn't have to work. Just have to be hip.
Got to be in with the in crowd.
Well, from a marketing perspective, that's the goal, right? All right, good price on an AMD A8 machine. This is a laptop, Toshiba laptop, 15.6 inch, $299, save $200.
Nice.
A Dell touchscreen laptop with AMD A6 processor, 15.6 inch touchscreen, $379.99, save $170. Got an HP Stream 2-in-1 touchscreen laptop with an Intel dual-core processor, 11.6 inch, $269.99. Brother 470DW all-in-one inkjet printer for $69.99, save $30. Does auto duplex and wireless. HP OfficeJet 8610 wireless E all-in-one for $129.99, save $70. Plus get a $30 bonus coupon. A Dell touchscreen laptop with Intel Core i3 processor, 15.6 inch for $379.99, save $170. The Logitech wireless wave keyboard and mouse combo for $59.99, save $10. They got a good deal on a relatively small SDHC card, 16 gig, although it will be very useful for mobile devices. $14.99, $45 off for the SDHC and SDHC micro versions. Dell 20-inch widescreen LED monitor for $79, save $40. Brother mono laser printer, the 2360 that does duplex and wireless for $99, save $50. And we were talking earlier about the micro PCs, the HP Stream, which is a Intel processor. I think it's the Intel dual core processor for $179.99. This has got 2 gig of RAM and 32 gig of SSD. And I don't see, even when I clicked on this ad, it didn't tell me what the interfaces were available were. It shows from the front of it just 2 USB ports, but this is a compelling price for this. This would be similar to the function you mentioned, Steve, although it does come with Windows 8.1. We've got, zoom in a little bit here. HP laptop with an AMD A10 processor for $399.99, save $150. Also have another HP laptop, A10, 15.6 inch machine for $429.99, save $220. Acer 2-in-1 touchscreen. Now this, take a look at this ad. What's wrong with this ad, On? Can you tell?
I don't know.
When does a Chromebook come with Windows 8.1?
Oh, jeez.
That's why I put it in there. It wasn't that it was such a fabulous price. If it is Windows 8.1 for $169, that's cheap. But I believe it's a Chromebook. Although if you look closely at the display they show in the picture, you can see that they did a really bad job of photoshopping even that. So what's going on here? Are people jumping ship over at Staples here in the advertising department? but it is an 11.6-inch screen, 2 gig of memory, 16 gig hard drive. It says delivery only, order in the store. That's interesting. It'd be fascinating to know what this is, but for $169 for a Windows machine, that would be cheap.
Yeah, they want you to order it so you don't go over there and realize, oh, wait a second. This way you
Right,
just
yeah.
get it to the house and
But you look at it, it
Yeah.
shows it
Yeah.
shows a detachable
Yeah.
tablet
Yep.
for $169. That
Yeah.
I think this is wrong. I think this is made up of a bunch of. I don't understand how they could get this so cheap. Because that functionality is usually reserved for higher end machines.
Yep.
But who knows? Okay, Samsung 21.5-inch widescreen monitor for $119, save $30. 27-inch AOC monitor for $179.99, save $70. And two really inexpensive tablets here, and I don't have any reviews to go back on yet on these, but New Vision, 7-inch Android tablet with Intel processor for $69.99, 8 gig of memory, and it does come with Android 5.0, and they have a 10.1-inch version with 32 gig for $149, save $30. So compelling.
yeah. Nice.
Good prices. That's all at Staples. Moving on to Best Buy. We've got a Toshiba convertible satellite touchscreen laptop, 15.6-inch with Core i7, 749.99, save 100. And as an entry-level machine, they've got a Toshiba 15.6-inch laptop for $249.99 with a Celeron processor. Lenovo Yoga 2 2.1 11.6-inch or 2-in-1 11.6-inch touchscreen laptop, Core i3 for $499.99, save 80. And Insignia Bluetooth 4.0 USB adapter for $14.99, save 5. And by the way, Windows 8.1 actually does a really good job of managing Bluetooth chipsets, because I took a couple of old ones. I've been cleaning out cupboards full of old technology, and I had a USB Bluetooth adapter. It was a 2.1, and one was a little bit newer, 3.0 maybe, and I plugged them into my Windows 8.1 desktop machine, and it found those chipsets immediately and immediately gave me the icon and let me configure them. So I was impressed that they work so well. Acer 11.6-inch Chromebook, 2 gig of memory, 16 gig solid state drive for $169.99. Acer 23-inch widescreen monitor for $149.99, save $30. HP Pavilion desktop and 23-inch monitor combo, AMD A8 processor for $579.98, save $50. This is for you, Amnon. I want you to go buy several of these and put
Right.
them in your
Yeah.
studio. 29-inch LED widescreen, ultra widescreen monitor, $299.99, save $100. And this is a good deal. Seagate 1 terabyte a laptop form factor, 2.5-inch drive, hybrid drive. This has got both solid state and hard drive platters in it for $84.99, save $30. I still am running that one in my Dell laptop, the
That's a
500 gig version.
Good price for that.
Yeah, that's good, and they tend to be pretty reliable. They move the frequently used files over to the SSD, but they still have the hard disk drive, so boots up very quickly. Toshiba Q-Series Pro 256 gig solid state drive for $99.99, save 10. SanDisk Ultra Dual 64 gig micro USB 3.0 flash drive. Now, when they say this is dual use, it means it's got both USB 3.0 connection and a USB micro connection on it to use for example, smartphones and tablets that have micro USB. So handy if you want to transfer files back and forth between a phone and tablet and a computer. $22.99, save $27. Insignia 8-inch Android tablet, 16 gig of memory for $99.99. Brother 475 DW wireless all-in-one inkjet printer for $69.99, save 30. Epson Expression XP2 520 small-in-one wireless all-in-one printer for $79.99, save 50. And finally, if you're into printing pictures, it's not useful for everyone. I prefer a printer that has multiple paper trays, so I can actually have a 4x6 stock in one and 8.5 by 11 in the main tray. But this is a compact photo printer. It only holds 4x6 prints or 4x6 stock for $89.99. Save. Sorry, okay, I can't see how much it's saving there because I've got an icon in the way. But I think it's $10. So and that's it for today from the specials.
Thank you, Spence.
You're welcome.
Let me tell you that printer, that selfie,
Yes.
the one that was $89, that last one.
Yes.
I use that at work for
Good.
wedding photo booths, and that thing is unbelievable.
I mean, look at it for the price.
Yeah.
How are the supplies for it? Are they expensive? Or?
I think you can get it's 3 packs of the paper and 3 of the ink cassettes, and I want to say it's like $20 or $30. It's not that expensive.
So you put it through its paces then with a photo booth. That means it's got to be pretty good.
We have 2, and we use printer polling so that the jobs just go from each one to each one. So yeah,
Nice.
we use them a lot, and they're great, and they're dirt cheap.
Nick, you were talking about deciding on a printer about a few weeks ago. Did you decide on one in the end?
Yeah, I just took one from the basement, and now it's in my room, and nobody else has access to it. That was the solution to my
Awesome.
problem.
No cost.
Exactly. So that was my solution. Let me tell you, wireless. Why have they not figured out how wireless printing can work?
Because
Why
they're
is it so terrible?
stupid.
It's so terrible. It doesn't work. You got to turn the printer on and off to print. What a mess. It's terrible. I'm gonna have to buy another Raspberry Pi to serve as a print server because it's just unbelievable how awful the built-in wireless is on these printers.
It's too bad, Nick. I just recycled a wireless print server for USB printers.
Oh,
I had a 4-port. I tried to give it away. Nobody wanted it.
I've got one here and it doesn't work well.
What's that?
I have one here made by D-Link.
Yep.
Doesn't work.
I had this. It worked very well for laser printers, for HP laser printers, which is
Yeah.
what I mainly use.
This one's on an inkjet.
Yeah, and it's very machine specific for some reason.
well, my wireless router supports network printing, but it supports like 11 It supports like 11 printers. It's a joke. So now I just have it plugged into my my desktop.
Well, speaking of jokes, I had an interesting event this week. My daughter, who's staying with us, when I got up, she said, "I've got bad news." Okay, what? She said, "I started the Time Warner." Sorry about my throat. I started the Time Warner app last night when I went to bed, and I went to sleep with it on. And so we're on a family plan on our data. And she said, for some reason, it was connected over 4G instead of over the Wi-Fi. So we got an email about 1 o'clock, a text message that you're using up about 80% of your data, then another 90%, and then at 3:44 we got one, you've used up your entire 10 gigabytes of data for the month on Verizon. And she looked at her usage, and her usage said she had used 17 gigabytes.
Damn.
Well, I said, hang on a minute. I said, there's no way you've used 17 gigabytes in 8 hours. I mean, there ain't no way, not even with Time Warner. And I did some research to figure out, of course, we had some discussions about doing that. And so I did some research and found out that this piece of crap Netgear router that I have was not connecting to Wi-Fi. I rebooted the router. Now everyone can connect to it wirelessly. And I got on the phone with Verizon. I said, where are we? Where does it end up? Are you still? Yes, you're going over. I said, then I want you to shut it down. I am not going to pay. It's $10 per gigabyte that you go over your data plan.
You mean it was still going?
Well, apparently not. I don't know. When she turned it off, apparently. And so I said, well, how much have we gone over? She said, you're at 10.2 gigabytes.
Oh, okay.
And I said, well, that's not as bad as I was anticipating. But I said, now we've got another 2 weeks before it resets. And I said, I'm not happy about this because at the time, I honestly thought it was the phone that had malfunctioned. And in certain ways, I guess it is. It's an iPhone. And there ought to be some way to tell it not to keep streaming forever without some sort of confirmation. I mean, it's just nonsense.
That's an app issue, not a phone issue. The Netflix app does that on mobile if you stream.
But anyway,
shows.
She was gone about 5 minutes. She came back. She said, all right, here's what we're going to do. She said, we're going to bump you up to the 15 gigabyte plan for the month at no charge.
Nice.
Wow.
I said, okay, you just kept a customer.
They did that for me when I went on vacation and I was in Bermuda and didn't realize that I was connecting with a broadband card and thought Bermuda was covered because it was Verizon. Thought Bermuda was covered. Turned out it was Verizon Caribbean and was not covered. And I got messages saying, you're going over, and it was too late. But they let me buy a 1 month mobile plan for, I think it was about $45, and retroactively applied it to the time I was there to cover the bandwidth, and that was about 1/5 of what it would cost me to actually pay for the bandwidth.
What was that? That's with Verizon.
That was Verizon.
AT&T is awful with that. I had a problem where some app went rogue on when I had an Android phone, and it started using up all my data. And it used at this time, I think we only had 6 gigs. And it used up 5 gigabytes in like Mike said, 8 hours or something like that. And I called AT&T and they had their people remote into my phone and do all this other crap. And there was just nothing. They're like, oh, no, you're screwed. You're going to have to pay us at the end of the month.
Hey, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Alan is asking a good question. What was streaming?
Time Warner has an app that you can watch everything in your TV subscription over your phone.
Okay.
But now the interesting thing with that, Mike, is I thought that only works on Time Warner Wi-Fi.
It should only work on Time Warner Wi-Fi.
There should be a setting in the app itself on the phone where you say don't use cellular data.
Okay, how many people do you think know all that, Spencer?
Oh, no, not many. I know because that's how I configured the phone.
Look, it's a situation where we were totally in the wrong and they were totally in the right.
Yeah.
I get that, but you know what?
Fine.
Life doesn't always work that way. Sometimes the problem is their cell towers are down. Sometimes the problem is they forget to apply the billing correctly. Sometimes, they're not always perfect either, and we are forced to accommodate their needs. So I don't think it's putting them out to accommodate an error on our part, and they did it, and I'm very pleased with what they did.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's very good of them to do it.
It strongly resembles good customer service.
And that's another reason why you should reboot your router, Netgear or others, about every week, 2 weeks.
Oh, you're crazy.
No,
Around
not.
every week. What are you talking about?
Well,
it
no,
takes,
if it's a
takes a
Netgear
few
router,
seconds.
No.
All right.
Every
if it's
week?
a Netgear router, you should take it to the gun range for target practice to
I've
what you do.
Mike, I've got a
I've
question
got
for you.
two
with
of
this.
them
Hang on a
running
minute.
here,
Hang
and
on.
they're running perfect.
You take the bottom of it and you go from one corner to the opposite corner. You draw a straight line, and then you do it on the other corner. It creates an X, and you should really try to hit it dead center on that X to see your marksmanship.
Mike, I've got a question for you here. you've been trashing these Netgear routers for months now. Why are you still using one? I mean, that makes no sense.
Oh, jeez.
Because I'm waiting to see if the Asus routers are really what they're panned out to be. Or
They are.
well, I bought what was it I bought? I bought something recently. Greatest thing in the world, man. This thing is fantastic. Oh, it's wonderful. As soon as you buy it, the next day you go to the same place. Man, this thing is crap.
I don't know what you're talking about, but
It doesn't matter what I'm talking about. It's something that you're always, the reviews, you can get stellar reviews, one right after the other. And then as soon as I buy it, all of a sudden they discover a fatal flaw in the product.
I mean, that's why I don't even bother looking at reviews on Amazon or these other sites. It doesn't matter. I mean, realistically, they don't mean anything. You buy it, you
I
try it.
disagree. I disagree. To me, the negative reviews. Now, I'm not throwing out the one where it came in and UPS had run over it with the truck and they give it a 1 rating. That's not Amazon's fault whenever UPS runs over it with a truck. But when they say that, unfortunately, the button is really hard to press, sort of thing. That stuff, I've found all that stuff to be very accurate.
But now this is the problem. For example, I'm searching for a laptop for school next year, and I'm looking at these Windows PCs, and you've got one reviewer saying that the device the device is awful and the hard drive's at 100% all the time, and then you've got other people saying the hard drive is fine and it's running fine all the time. So how is this review accurate? You've got other people saying the backlight is too dim, and then other people saying the backlight is perfect.
That's useful information. Let me tell you why it's useful. If you get one and you find the backlight is too dim, or you find out that the hard drive's running all the time, you know to take action immediately instead of waiting until you're out of warranty or your return period is given up.
I know, but how can one person be saying that one person says the computer is hot to the touch, constantly running at 70 degrees Celsius, and then other people are saying it runs cool? I mean, how?
Because I think that when you got all this cheap Chinese crap that's coming into this country, there's a good chance they're both telling the truth.
Which is fine, but then again, so I'm not arguing that one of them is lying, but then how am I supposed to look at a review? How do I accurately look at a review? If one person's saying it runs hot, one person's saying it's wrong, is it a 50-50 shot, a flip a coin, and if I have a good one or if I have a dud?
That's what it says. That's exactly what it says.
That's what it says. Then what the hell's the point of looking at the reviews?
Because there is a device that we bought for our Garmin GPS, and the one in my wife's car, and one my daughter had in her car, that I don't remember the name of it, but it's got these 4 little bags on the bottom of a bracket, and it just sits on the dash. You go around a curve and it just sits there. It doesn't slide around.
Mm-hmm.
And the reviews on this thing were like 24,000 5-star reviews, 4 1-stars.
Yes, that's like a typical non-electronic product on Amazon.
Yes, and I bought one and could not agree more with the 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything as blatantly positive as that was, and in that case, it was very useful, and I would have missed a great product if I had not paid attention to the reviews and bought it.
For example, I bought this gaming mouse. I absolutely hate it. It's 77% 5-star, and it's got 3% 1-star. This mouse is a piece of junk.
You can usually throw out the bottom 3%.
But I mean, looking at this now, I mean, is nobody having the same problem I'm having with this mouse? I mean, really? I mean, the thing is all jerky, constantly is disconnecting.
I got the same thing here. I bought the same wireless mouse that we use at my office. Nobody at my office has had an iota's worth of problem with them. And so I bought one, put it on my computer, and it's all jerky and doesn't work. I don't even know where the insert is for it anymore. So I
spent $60 on this mouse, and
I spent $50 on this one.
It's a Razer mouse, supposed to be the top of the line gaming mouse, and that thing is constantly moving all over the screen. The sensitivity is completely off.
Same here. And I don't know why I didn't return it.
I'm returning mine. It's just awful. I have a $5 one that I've been using for 2 years, and it's better than this thing.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You'd never pay that much.
For what?
For a mouse. I mean, you know.
It's a gaming mouse. That's the whole point. It's
okay, well, yeah, that's a different story. But for a regular mouse,
no,
Mike,
never.
$50?
It's wireless.
Give me a break.
That's because it's got 30 knobs on it, 16
No,
switches, and it's got
Yeah, no,
programmable.
the gaming
This one
one,
does have
vibrating.
programmable buttons.
I
yeah.
would agree.
Alan's talking about a problem with TuneIn, and that's interesting, Alan, because you're the second complaint I've heard about TuneIn today.
What's he saying about tuning?
He's saying that he's had a problem with TuneIn in that it doesn't work in 3G, but it does work in Wi-Fi, and it will work on 3G if he starts it on Wi-Fi and then hands it off to 3G.
That may be a setting in your app then.
Possible.
That would be the thing that Spencer was describing of having it not load on 3G, but since it's doing a wireless handoff, it's working. That's what that sounds like.
Yeah, he tried that. He's pretty sharp about this stuff too. So
Maybe-
Mike, if you take a look at the router that I posted the link, the Amazon link to. It's a TP-Link Archer C5, and I've installed a couple of these, and I have a TP-Link. It's an older one, but for the price, this is the features you get in this thing compared to some of the more expensive Linksys, Netgear, Asus routers. I believe these guys are manufacturers for them. They actually make,
It looks just like it.
they're the core manufacturers, and they have their own brand.
Who do you think they manufacture for?
Who do I think they manufacture for? I don't know. I'm not sure. But
I don't know,
that's-
but let me tell you something. Their customer support, 24/7, good people, free.
But see, Netgear started out doing that too.
I know. Well,
And Netgear, I mean, it's not even a good target. It's not even good for target practice.
I've
Then,
got-
Mike, then you need to get a new router then.
Thank you, Nick.
Well, I've got a Netgear modem router because they're combined over here if you're not on cable, and I've had no problem with it at all.
You know
Says he
what?
touching wood.
I'm on my 4th Netgear router, and not one of them did I had a problem with it until I had a problem with it.
Well, I tried. I had a Belkin, and that was back in the days when we used to be on SIP a lot. And you may remember me saying
Yep.
that we worked, Mike Jorvik and I worked with it for about 3 days trying to figure out why it wasn't allowing the SIP packets through. They sent me a brand new one, the new model, and said, look, try this one, see how you get on. And it was even worse than the original.
Mm.
So I've had the Netgear ever since, and say touch wood, it's been really, really good.
But my first bad experience with Netgear, I mean, I've had them die. A couple of them that die. In fact, I've got several here, and since Amnon is such a big Netgear fan, I'm going to take them to his house, and he can have them. But the other than dying, whenever they really started going downhill on the newer ones, the first problem I had is it stopped handing out DHCP addresses.
Yep. I had
And
the same problem with the Linksys.
now it would get to where it would I forget what all happened on the second one. It just would stop working, reboot it, and then finally quit working altogether. And then on the third newer one, which I have now, it does random stupid stuff like just stops working on Wi-Fi for no reason.
Did you pay the DHCP tax?
Yeah.
You did? Oh, well then I take it
That's
up
the
with the government.
But that's the great part about these routers, Mike, is they're disposable. When you
That's
start having
why
those
you-
issues, you just throw them out and you get a new one.
and that's why you buy the cheap ones.
But here's what bothers me, and I'm an electronics guy. I understand this stuff. What is, and this is a rhetorical question, what is there in a router that should cause it to fail?
Electronics.
Cheap components.
Come on.
I mean, they're cheap devices. My expensive Netgear
No.
router was $112. I mean, that's nothing, really. That's it's not.
I recently took out a bunch of D-Link routers that just were losing their brains. They would just all of a sudden stop working, constantly rebooting them. This was there were two different chipsets of the same router, same models. I think it was the D-Link 615, which was a N router. And they worked fine for years, and suddenly they just started, and there was no new updates, nothing changed. Both of them started losing their brains, just constantly resetting it. Your session would go away. So what happens? It's just
Yeah.
they reached end of life.
But here's what I understand, for example, and I know about the bad cap problem and all that. I fixed a computer day before yesterday that had a secondary hard drive fail that was stopped it from booting. But when I took it apart, I also noticed that there was a bubbled cap on the motherboard. There's only one, and I'm not about to take it out and change the one because it may blow up today. It may never blow up. But here's the thing that blows my mind on Netgear. If I didn't have to pay $40 to ask Netgear the question, and if you could talk to anyone with a brain, my question would be is, what is it in a device? I mean, a router is nothing but a little computer. That's all it is. What is there in a router that can just cause it to stop handing out DHCP addresses when it's a total firmware function?
Mike,
Well,
you
having
are
worked for manufacturer of network products, there are circumstances where types of packets can come along. Amnon, remember the issues with the first routing switches, where you would send, if you sent
Yeah,
what they
and
call a
forget-
misaligned packet,
Yep.
a packet that
and
was a short,
screws
too
up the whole thing.
small,
Yep.
it would the switches would just roll over and
Right.
die. It was just weird things about that they couldn't plan for, and because they're burned into the chips themselves, they're not. It's firmware is basically the operating system, but the functionality is programmed hard coded into the chips.
But Spencer,
It can't be fixed.
follow this though. It's sitting here working for a year,
Oh no, I get it.
and
What I'm
it just
saying
no
it's-
changes on the network, no computer changes, no nothing. It just stops handing out IP addresses.
Yep,
Mike,
and what I'm trying to say is that there are things about the hardware itself, the chipset itself, that when that special circumstance comes along that it doesn't know what to do with, it just rolls over and dies because they haven't anticipated that thing happening.
Mike, I would say that you are not thinking it straight. Things did change big time before it stopped handing IPs. Right?
What? Say it
No,
again?
no.
yes,
I'm
yes, they
listening.
did. Yes, they did. Things changed.
Tell me.
Time, hours, heat, surges, call it whatever you want. It continuously changing.
I think that's
And
the
it
biggest problem with
reaches a
routers.
point where, okay, I can't take it anymore. And that's it.
I think you're right, Amnon. Because the router is on and it's on all the time, 24/7, 365
Right.
days a year. It kills it eventually because, as you say, heat spikes
I
in
mean,
electric.
it's almost like we're getting used to, oh, it works, then it should work forever. No. It's going to deteriorate as we're
What does that
using
mean,
it.
though? But
Well, I don't know how many of you guys have UPSs or not, but
Right.
these UPSs go when there's under or over voltage, they kick on battery power.
Right.
My UPS must kick on at least 10 times a week over or under voltage. Not that the power's not going out, but that's got to affect these devices
And
that aren't on.
I've got news for you. The UPS that you have, unless it is online UPS, which means it works 100% of the time off the batteries. In that case, it really doesn't kick. But the ones that kick, what you're talking about, can move, can allow a surge to go in.
Yeah.
So there's so many things there that we don't think about. They just wear out, Mike. I mean, why is your computer suddenly stop working?
Amnon,
It was working fine yesterday.
Amnon.
Yeah.
I've been doing electronics troubleshooting for 53 years now.
This is why
I know what I'm doing.
I know, and this is why I'm stressing this. I'm surprised.
Bear with me.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm telling you that if you have a piece of electronic equipment, if it stops working, if it stops working, there's a reason.
Sure.
All right. It's not always detectable. It's not always fixable. There is always a reason. Now, what I'm saying to you is that if, to use Nick's example of an uninterruptible power supply, it stops working. It's usually a bad battery. It can
What
usually
Nick is
be.
talking about is
Mm.
that power is the issue, not the UPS. He's
I
saying the
understand.
power is so flaky that
I
that's
get that.
yeah.
But what I'm saying is just because they are probably the most unreliable device in your entire computer setup, because the batteries don't last. And one of the reasons they don't last is because a lot of these UPSs are poorly designed. They overcharge and they actually destroy the batteries. That's another matter. So what I'm saying to you is when something fails, there's always a reason. If a capacitor bubbles up and develops high equivalent series resistance, causing it to drag down the power supply or provide insufficient filtering, I understand how that causes things to fail. I understand how if a microphone stops working, how the capsule element has gone bad, or there is a broken wire. There's always a reason.
Right.
What I am telling you is I cannot envision an answer to the question, nor has anyone been able to offer me, and I'll say it a second way to make my point, and then we can get out of here. No one has been able to offer to me an explanation of how you can take a router, not touch it, and do absolutely nothing, but it stops handing out IP addresses. That's the only change, which is a 100% software function. The way you would think that it would be a problem is that the firmware gets corrupted. However, you reflash the firmware, and there you go. I mean, it didn't solve the problem. I'm just telling you that that's a really bizarre failure mode.
You answered this particular question, or not answered, but I'm getting hot here because you are facing the same thing. You just said that you had a computer that will not allow it to do something to the hard drive. That's all that it was wrong with it. Why? It was working fine yesterday. Why suddenly just the hard drive? Because something in it failed, Mike, and you know it. Something I can't believe that it's coming from you, somebody who understands these things. I mean, a capacitor can go bad in the router, and as much as you know, you will not be able to tell because it's not the same kind of capacitor that you can look and see that it bubbles. And that stops it from giving IPs. I'm just saying that it's a possibility. And it's it's not worth trying to figure it out. If you buy the cheap stuff, it's not worth. You go and you buy another one. Of course, I will not spend $40 with Netgear support. I would go and buy another one.
But it has a lifetime warranty, Amnon.
It doesn't matter. What is the lifetime of it?
Until it breaks.
And that's it. Now, if I bought, and I always use Netgears, if I would have to change a router every year, every 6 months, I would say, hey, there's a problem here. But when I go years with the same router and customers who are going with the same routers for years before it breaks, I have absolutely no problem with it. It's nice to buy a new one that has more features.
I didn't have a problem with it either until I had a problem with it.
Well,
and I had three in less than 3 years, and then that was enough. And then the last one, the reason I haven't replaced it is because it's working 95% of the time for now. And when I reboot it, it does come back up. When I would reboot and reflash the firmware on the one with the bad IP addresses, it would not work. It's probably still here somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, no. If any aspect of it is not working, I will just go and get another one because you don't know what.
That's the great part. Is they're cheap.
Yeah. I'm not arguing that. I mean, you guys aren't telling me anything I don't already know.
I know.
But
well, look who we got online here.
When I have 3 bad in 3 years, and I find out that it has a lifetime warranty, and an $80 router costs $40 to contact tech support to get a free replacement, To me, that's a scam.
Oh, it is a scam.
Well,
Well, I don't do business with companies that scam me.
That's the real issue, though,
Well,
because
then so
if they had offered you a free replacement at no cost to you, then you would be happy.
I would be happy, and I would
Yeah.
be sitting here singing Netgear's praises just like I did Verizon.
So that the real issue is not necessarily the technology; it's they have a crappy service.
3 and 3 years is an issue with me.
all right, enough. Let's hear what Dirty Boxes have to say about all this.
No, it's not enough. You've made me angry, Amnon. I'm your biggest fan, and you've made me angry.
How you
I
doing?
agree with Mike. I'm very well, boys. How are you?
Fine. Long time.
It has been ages. It's a
Yes.
long story, blah, blah, blah. We'll catch up another time over coffee and cake.
Yeah.
However, Amnon, you're wrong.
Cake, I'm in.
About the cake, I'm wrong?
No,
Oh.
no, we'll get on to the cake as a lie. But for the Netgear router thing, you're wrong.
Okay. All
Sorry,
right.
For the Americans, router. There you go. Right. So it's not cheap. I've had the same issue. I've had to live in hell in the last month or so with no interwebs. How did people survive in the Stone Age? I don't know.
Have you got a Belkin, have you?
Oh,
No, I've got one of those
Steve.
horrid BT hub things.
So you
Oh, no.
so you have the same problem with the Netgear that doesn't hand you an IP?
Yeah, we had that issue. However, the big problem that I was having with you is I agree with Mike. Why does it stop? If nothing goes wrong, it's built to sit there forever on.
No. No, it's not.
And then, but no, this is the point that Mike was trying to make, and I've lived it recently, so it's still a raw nerve, Amnon. And it just stops. It's still on. The lights are flashing, blinking away. Everything looks like it's working, but
But
it's
it's
gone on
not.
holiday.
Right.
And it's like, screw you guys, I'm going over here. And it's like, no, I want to plug in this new thing. And everything says it's working, but it's
Mhm.
not assigning IP addresses. But then you turn it off, turn it back on. Sometimes that works. Rule 101 in computing. But when
Right.
it doesn't, and everything else says it's working, how is that suddenly? Oh, it's because you've invested in cheap tat, Mike.
Oh no, you don't
Stop
understand.
being so
no,
skimpy.
no. I think you misunderstood me. I'm not
Uh-huh.
saying, Mike, you invested in cheap stuff. I'm
You
saying
did. You just did about
no,
2
no, no,
minutes
no.
ago.
I'm the last one who would call Netgear cheap stuff. What I was saying is, since it's cheap, you get another one. If you bought a router that would cost $400, you can't just toss it aside and say, I'm just going to get another one. But when you buy one that costs $40, which is what I do all the time,
Mm.
then you just toss it aside and buy a new one after 2, 3, 4 years. It's easy to do it. That's what I meant when I said cheap. I'm sorry if it came across a different way. That's not what I mean. Mike bought something that we used to believe in. I still believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
And the price it's cheap compared to some of the other ones. Let's put it this way. But I would still pay that cheap price. And I invest in those cheap things because I know that they're going to break. And I want to be able to not feel bad picking it up and toss it in the trash. If you have something that's worth $100 in your hand, say, oh, you know what?
Yeah, but
What-
even $100, if it works for 3 or 4 years and it dies, whatever.
No, but it's easier to throw something that was working that stopped working after 3 years. That's $40 than to throw away $100. It just. That's
I
what I
agree with
meant.
what- I
I'm
agree with
sorry.
what you're
That's what I meant.
The thing is, you don't get a lifetime warranty with something that costs $40, but where you've got to draw the line is, hang on a minute, if I want to get support on this, I've got to spend another $40
Right.
to get support. Then you might as well put that 40
That-
towards another one.
Right. That's
I have
ridiculous.
never looked for lifetime warranty with a wireless router.
No, I haven't.
With
Well, I mean-
anything electronic, you cannot. There is no such thing.
There isn't, no.
And even when they say lifetime, if you happen to read the fine print somewhere, it'll say it's not for your life. It's for the life of the device, which may be 5 years, 10 years, something. I mean, you cannot. I mean, and especially being in this day and age, would you keep a router for 10 years if it worked?
No. How
No.
could you?
That's ageist.
Yeah, because you want something that has something new in it, something more secure, something faster, whatever.
I'm just sticking up for Mike.
No,
Please
that's
note, Mike,
fine.
who
I mean,
hates
look,
your
we
router?
all stick up
I
for
came
Mike
here.
every now and then.
No, we don't.
Sorry,
You attack
Aspen,
me.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Lee, what microphone are you using?
I'm using the Rode Procaster.
It sounds horrible.
BT are still fondling with my wires. It's a bit personal. I'd rather not talk about it.
That was the best line. That's the best line Steve's ever had on the show.
It sounds horrible. I don't know what you're doing, but that
He's
should
got
sound
everything-
much better than that.
He's got
Hold
everything
on.
maxed out to the 10, so he sounds like a disc jockey.
So
You sound
Stop.
like you're
don't
talking
judge
from
me.
behind
Nick.
a pillow.
Don't judge me. So anyway, I'm getting told off from somebody who lives in the West Country. Behave.
Of course you are. That's
Sit down, shut up, Farmer Charles. Go away.
Oh, look at the time, 11:19. You should probably close the show now, I am. Not while you have time.
Yeah, these guys are close enough to have a personal encounter.
That sounds
Well, I'm just
perverted.
speaking
We
the
all know.
truth.
All right, and now back to you.
So
it
tell
is
us,
past enough to go.
bring us up to date. What's going on, Lee?
Many things I can't talk about. There's like
Well,
lawsuits
the
and
things
stuff.
you
Crazy.
can talk about.
Yeah, we've the charity like not-for-profit thing still going. That's nice.
Right?
I finally acknowledge HTML5 is a thing. Before it was just vicious rumors. Now it's a thing.
Steady.
I know. Tell me about it. Still miss Flash. Yeah, controversial. What else?
Flash
No,
or
that's it.
flashing.
What you do in your private time, Steve, over there with Cider, it's completely up to you.
Yes, right.
No, it's just a lot of meetings and reading of gumph. I don't understand why people become lawyers. It's boring
For the
with
money.
their cheap polyester suits.
Now you're attacking Mike. Come on.
Yeah,
No,
now
I'm
you're
not.
attacking Mike.
No, I'm not.
Mike's a
You-
lawyer.
you-
Yeah, you're attacking him.
He'd be the first to admit it's boring. Don't start with me.
It's
Mike,
all
is it
about the
boring?
money. It's all about the money, Lee.
There you go. See? He makes it rain constantly. Especially here at the moment.
Oh, Heavenly Father, please sow strife among thy people so thy
Uh-oh.
loyal servant may eat.
Oh, I'm
Make it
out of
rain.
here. I can't. I got voodoo going on now. I'm out.
Fair dues.
All right.
I got to get out of here too, guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, you guys have a good one.
You
Thanks
too,
for calling
Lee.
in, Lee. It's good to hear from you again.
It's
Talk
good.
to you
we,
next
we need
time.
to touch base. Yes, most definitely. Take care, guys. Have fun.
See ya.
Take care. Bye bye.
See you, Lee.
See you, Steve.
All right. Anybody else has anything to add here? Guess
Apart
not.
from saying thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank
No,
you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
No.
Nah, thank you. All right.
Wonderful.
Good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. While you're at it, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our new YouTube channel, and tune in tonight at 8. No, there's no live Tanya tonight. So tomorrow at 1 o'clock for the Breaking Free. Bye-bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Health In with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Lessons of Vietnam with NCBVI members, The Tanya Love Show, Your Healthy Pet with Gisela DiCarlo. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by Atomus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.